basically what Q's been doing for quite some time is telling us about that and a lot of other stuff, all the way up to like some pretty evil stuff happening on private islands in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I think I've heard
Would
some
you
about
believe that could happen? You ever heard of Jeffrey Epstein?
I have not heard of that, no.
All right, well, Jeffrey Epstein is one of the big players in all this, but
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts, and we're going to talk about the fact that President Trump is in charge of what is the most incredible operation ever known to mankind as far as disseminating information around one of the largest conspiracies you have ever imagined. You guys are going to want to stick around, check that out, plus more. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. As always, thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you get notified when these videos get posted, and hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. So today we're going to pick up basically exactly where we left off. We left off at Q post 3410. We're picking back up at Q post 3411. And with that, we're going to kind of just go through these posts, and we're going to try to get into some of the news that's been going on, because there's a lot of news going on with all of these posts. And we're going to try to look at some specific stories, and there's going to be a lot to cover in this episode. So with that being said, I always encourage everyone to come back here to the landing page, watch these last few videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way, because you guys all know what's going on with Google and YouTube. These companies don't want to help get this information out there. If anything, they're trying to put up as many roadblocks as they can from this information spreading and becoming viral and getting out to the people who need to hear it. So my request from you is to go find the share button on this video, hit it. And when you watch all these videos to get caught up, hit the share button there as well. And you're scratching your head going, what is QAnon the Great Awakening? What's this guy talking about? Please come here. Watch this video. What is QAnon the Great Awakening? It'll give you all the information you need to know about QAnon the Great Awakening. So please, by all means, go check that out. But with that being said, let's get right into the latest Q post 3411. This one posted basically after we finished the earlier video. So let's just jump right into it. It says, "You're witnessing the greatest coordinated misinformation attack campaign ever to be launched against the public, all in an effort to protect themselves from prosecution, public exposure, and regain power and control." So I'm going to stop right there. This is something I really believe Q is 110% correct about. This is something that I pointed out and talked about, as well as many other individuals out there. But what I've pointed out is this: these people, the ones who we are exposing through this, they are so corrupt, they are so guilty in a lot of cases that they would rather destroy this country than to face prosecution or indictment for their crimes. That's really what we're coming down to. There are people who have done some very horrible, horrific things. There are people who have done some really corrupt things and some really treasonous things. And those individuals are have come to a decision in their lives where they've decided, I've done things that are so bad that I'm pretty much pot committed. If you guys don't know what that means, that's like a poker term for like Texas Hold'em, where you've already put so many of your chips in the pot that if you fold now, it basically makes no sense whatsoever. You've put too much in to that game in order to fold, because you might as well take the risk unless it's really dauntingly bad against you, right? So they're pot committed, and they've decided in their brains that it's a good idea to try to destroy this country, as opposed to atoning for their sins, facing the consequences of their actions, accepting punishment for their said actions. They've decided that it's better to destroy the whole thing and then try to basically latch on to those that help them commit the crimes like some sort of parasitic fish. And that's really what we've come to in this scenario. So then it goes on, it says, "Attempted removal of the duly elected president of the United States by illegal manufactured means." Yes, we all know what the Russian hoax was. We all know exactly what happened to President Trump. He was literally framed in this illegal, in my opinion, coup attempt against him, which has been ongoing and still is going on today. It goes on. "They believe they could win public support by controlled assets, media, tech, Hollywood." Yeah, we already know that. They've basically gamed the system against most conservatives by now. Most of the Hollywood elites are completely anti-Trump, and big tech censors are making sure you don't get the videos and the articles and the news that would show you the other side of the story. They just want to show you one side, which is their side, which is the extreme leftist side, as I like to call them. It goes on. These controlled assets set out to immediately create division through the use of a pre-designed misinformation campaign. Groups such as Antifa were funded and formed to prevent and or lessen the appeal for regular hardworking Americans to gather and express non-narrative viewpoints. These 2 points right here, like, very integral to understanding the way that the media has attacked you, the way the media has tried to basically undercut the ability of the American public to coalesce and to collectively move behind to collectively get behind a movement such as what we are seeing now, which is this Make America Great Again movement. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with trying to make your country great? What's wrong with making your economy fair? What's wrong with fixing the unfair trade deals that have been established by previous administrations, which allowed for countries like China to come in and steal all of our intellectual property and undercut us in manufacturing and basically siphon the wealth of our nation out from underneath us? What's wrong with that, right? But because they've taken control of these 6 major media corporations, the Hollywood elites, the big tech elites, they have brainwashed and indoctrinated them. And it's not just them, it's like desensitizing them and demoralizing them. I feel bad for these people out in Silicon Valley who, have their brains rotted out by this corrupt, these pornographic shows and these things. I don't understand how people can regularly consume that kind of media without just having complete and awful ramifications to your spirit and your heart and who you are. But that's what they do. And whether the programming is pornographic or whether it's, just violent or it's, just completely racist. I mean, there are shows on Netflix that are literally like talking about how white people are terrible. And you're like, well, that's an incredibly racist viewpoint to have. And they're like, well, if you look at years of oppression and cultural this and that, we can make a show like this because we know white people are basically all a monolith. Every white person is exactly the same. They're all bad people. It's crazy. Anybody who has those viewpoints, I don't know what to tell you. But that's what they're trying to do. It's the divide and conquer method. And it goes on. It says, control of this projected narrative depends primarily on their ability to con the masses into thinking they are the majority. The mindset of most, if the majority of people believe this, then this must be true. More than that, CIA classified 1 through 99, 56, human psych and emotional distress. And this is like if inflicted emotional discomfort or something. So what is this one saying? Well, this is saying this is their tactic. Their tactic is to basically demoralize you and to destroy you and your psyche and to put you in a state of emotional distress, because when you are in emotional distress, you are easier to control. And when Q says classified 1 through 99, then we get in all the crazy stuff with all the way back to like MK Ultra and the mind control projects, which who knows how that has evolved to now and today. And what Q has alluded to with the fact that there are a lot of suspicious circumstances, let's just say, behind certain events. So that to me is an important note to take away here. And this is one of their main tactics. They try to convince the masses that they all think the same way. But even if they're right, what they're doing is that they're creating the echo chamber so that it can continue to just narrowly focus down onto the narrative that they want these people to believe. And then they get even more narrow in their targeting of individuals and how they affect people's psyches and inflict this emotional distress upon them. This is really a form of behavioral modification. It's been studied by scientists, for probably centuries at this point, if not further back. And I can tell you right now that they've advanced the science of it to where these mega corporations hire, very well-trained, smart people who are very, acutely aware of the psychological ramifications of actions and pictures and colors. And they put all of that into the programming that they use on these media outlets in order to brainwash you and to make you more susceptible to their lies because they've figured it out. I mean, it was no coincidence, I believe, that what Sigmund Freud, one of his cousins, I believe, was one of the major New York advertising heads, because he had adopted and adapted some of his whoever his uncle's tactics, and had decided that he was able to, basically manipulate the masses using these same Freudian ideas. So it really gets bad when you go down the rabbit hole and you start realizing that they have tonal frequencies and colors and subliminal messaging and hidden subliminal art. There's a lot of stuff there that you don't even realize is being put on you. And some of you do, but most of the mainstream masses don't. And that's what they take advantage of. It goes on. It says, without public support, they are powerless. We, the people, hold the power. United, we are strong. And that's 100% true. And I can't stress that enough. They are powerless if we do not give them the power to control us. And that's why you have to disconnect from this media. You have to tell your family and friends to disconnect from it. You have to help. It's okay to use it, to get information, but you have to realize that most of the time, the majority of the time in media, they're basically just trying to brainwash you and manipulate you for their own purposes. So that's just throwing that out there. Then Q gives us this here. It says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. You are witnessing the systematic destruction of the old guard. Q. This is what we're involved in. This is what the Great Awakening is. If there was like a mission statement for the Great Awakening, it's this right here. An incredibly, very, very powerful quote. And every time I say it, it just rings true to what we are standing up against. We are deciding to stand up against despotism, and we are going to win. That is all there is to it. So that's where we're at. The next one here is pretty interesting. So my last video, if you guys watched it, was the one about the B-2 stealth bomber. And it was about a post we did in the last one about, basically Q said B2 in the last one. Well, then after that, Q posted this video, obviously, right here. It's a YouTube video, and it's it's of like obviously a B2 stealth bomber taking off. Pretty epic. I mean, let's be honest. I was actually just in Washington, D.C., and we were at the Salute to America. We were on the National Mall. I guarantee you there was 1 million or 2 million people there. I don't know how many. It was a lot of people there. And we had a B-2 just like this one fly right overhead with a 2-fighter escort. It was so cool, so epic. And, seeing this, it's really epic. And what's interesting is when you look at this video, it's just something that Q posted us, trying to give us a heads up on what's coming. Now, a lot of people are being very skeptical in the comments. They're like, hey, Robert Mueller, is he a B-2? Is he stealth? That's a joke. Some people are saying, oh, that would be crazy. I think it could be either. It could be a joke or it could be crazy. I think Bill Barr has more to do with the B-2 thing than anything as far as stealth bombers go. But it would be possible, given what Q has told us, that there might be some connection with what happened or what's going to happen on July 17th, 2019, when Robert Mueller takes the stand, or basically goes and testifies in front of Congress. Now, one of the analysts pointed this out with regard to that. We had this post right here about the stealth bomber thing, and it was talking about how B-2, and it points out that the date of the first flight of the B-2 bomber was July 17th, 1989, and of course, July 17th, 2019 will be exactly 30 years to the day from that moment. And that's an exact 30 year delta, if you will. That's what Q uses in these examples. And this was something interesting. It said, think Flynn 30, exactly 30 Q. and this was from a previous Q post talking about Flynn and what was to come in kind of a cryptic way from August of 2018. It's interesting to look at that and think, what was the 30 referring to? Could that be connected? I mean, I'm throwing it out there for you guys just to chew on. I think it's definitely an interesting thing that the Anons pointed out. So let's go to the next one here. This one's pretty interesting, of course. More proofs of Q, and it's like almost irrefutable at this point. But hey, we'll just keep playing along at this point. Here is the actual graphic. So it's President Trump. Okay, so first of all, earlier you had Q put up this post, Stealth Bomber B2, right? Then you had this article, I believe, came out talking about Lockheed Martin was awarded a contract for B2 bomber refurbishment. Well, that's fascinating, right? And then you have President Trump tweeting out here, thank you to Lockheed Martin, one of the USA's truly great companies. So I don't know about you guys, but I think what Q says in the next post is really important, because Q says, well done, Anons, to the whoever put together this graphic, and Q shared it. But here's something interesting what Q says in the next one. It says, only Anons can fully appreciate the continued validations, confirmations through covert series of mathematically impossible coincidences means in order to maintain structural integrity. Wheels up, Q. Couldn't have said it better, right? This is what we're doing right here, right now. We're the ones who are seeing these, validations and confirmations that are being covertly put out there that are basically mathematically impossible at this point. And we understand that it's about maintaining full structural integrity. When Q says wheels up, I mean, there's a few ways to interpret that, but that obviously means that we are going to be taking off. And that's really where I think we're headed, to continue to go and grow. Because look, this information is very important, and the mainstream media can cover up as much as they'll try to cover up as much as they can, but it will come out. These people are going to be held accountable. We are going to find you. You are going to be arrested. You are going to be indicted, and you are going to go to jail if you are guilty of the crimes that we are uncovering here on this channel on a regular basis. So to anyone out there who's watching, who wants to know what's coming and what's ahead, I just told you exactly what's coming. Just like Epstein, no one's safe. Remember that. Any of you out there watching who, want to take your chances. Okay. So with that, I mean, let's get into a few other stories, I guess. There's a few other things. First of all, this talks about Jeffrey Epstein having this place in New Mexico and how they're talking about possibly bringing up charges against him in New Mexico. And look, I can tell you right now, we should really be investigating what was happening in New Mexico as well, as far as human trafficking and, having a mansion in Santa Fe. I have experience. I know that city fairly well, believe it or not. And yeah, I would say based on the experiences I've had and people I've talked to, we must start investigating New Mexico, Santa Fe, the mansion of Jeffrey Epstein. If there are any girls involved there, they should hopefully come forward so that we can bring justice against this guy. And I thought I'd throw that out there as a little tidbit. Here's another one. I guess Q is going mainstream, right? People are like freaking out over this over on the boards. But today, or actually a couple days ago, the New York Magazine put out this article saying, 1%er sex rings, creepy mansions rife with dark symbolism, a culture of impunity emanating from the highest levels of government. Did QAnon turn out to be kind of, right? Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's the fact that they're so behind on this. It's like, oh yeah, did he happen to be right? Oh, well, no, yeah. And you can read this if you want, but I just thought I'd point that out, that, the mainstream media is almost coming up to where we were like a year ago. So that's good for them. That's like progress. Here's something interesting. Okay, so these are a few Bill Maher tweets that I found that people were pointing out. And the one thing I wanted to point out was this. So back in 2013, right? This is obviously after Jeffrey Epstein and everything that had happened with that. Bill Maher talks about going to a vacation on an island, Now remember, this is July of 2013. This is right after that Q post Q just previously gave us, talking about how in July of 2013, Bill Maher made this episode that was comment, I'm not sure, talking about the Catholic Church and how they were into kids and all that stuff. And he has direct ties, according to Q, allegedly, to Jeffrey Epstein, and that's why he's been completely silent about this issue, which is pretty funny. I haven't checked his Twitter today, but as far as yesterday, he was not talking about Epstein Island, and Q pointed that out, saying like, look, this guy's like a comedian, supposed to be Mr. Funny Man. He won't talk about it. So I found these very, very interesting tweets, through digging on the boards. One was from 2013, right after when Q told us to look at him, where he talks about he's going on vacation to an island where he will be off the grid. And he says, if you don't hear from me in a week, it's fine. But after 2 weeks, call for help. Putin's got me. So I don't know what that means, but could it have been Epstein Island or some similar island? That would be the question. And then in 2015, he tweeted this out. Hillary's emails, I want to see bills. Hey, Epstein, gas up the plane. Let's go to Sex Island. I want to be you-know-what in Russian you-know-what. So disturbing, sick things. And he's a comedian, so, we want to throw that out there. But look, you hear it and you go, oh, wow. Especially given new developments in the Jeffrey Epstein case with this new accuser who's saying that she was raped by Jeffrey Epstein at the age of 15, which is just, disgusting. And I don't even know, but apparently she's one of the people coming forward right now. We have this story. One of the anons was pointing out there's major arrests happening in both D.C. and Puerto Rico of major Puerto Rican officials. And this is a story that you can follow. I'll leave a link to this in the comments if you want to read more into this story. I just thought I'd share it with you. And if it's connected possibly to something that we've been talking about here on the Q board with the Puerto Rican bank that was raided by the U.S. or basically was put under indictment, I believe, by the Department of Treasury by the DOJ for defrauding the Department of Treasury. Excuse me. So here's another example, though. A UCLA professor is found guilty of conspiring to steal missile secrets for China, could face more than 200 years in prison. This goes back to what Q told us about the fake news and how they try to tell us, oh, yeah, China's not a threat. Don't worry about them. Well, guess what? We know that they are actively trying to undermine our country and to steal our secrets and to steal our intellectual property, you name it. Of course, this just happened, and we're going to get more information on this going forward, I'm sure. But Iranian boats tried to seize a British oil tanker, and the Royal Navy responded, and they ran away like cowards. Pretty much what you would expect for the Iranian National Revolutionary Guard or whatever they call themselves. Clinton-era State Department official breaks down in tears as she's sentenced to 40 months in prison for conspiring with Chinese agents. Again, going back to what we talked about here, there were people working under the previous administration and before that were selling secrets to the Chinese. And, there might be some today still, but I'll tell you what, they weren't the only ones. These people that are being convicted, there were high-level individuals who have been accused of this, including people like Hillary Clinton, whose private email server, which was completely illegal to have, was obviously hacked by the Chinese, and she received huge foreign donations from the Russians and the Chinese and the Saudis, and all of her servers were basically hacked by any country who had half a brain cell of ability to hack. So there's something fishy about that whole entire story, and I just had to bring that up before we go. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure to bell notifications. Don't forget to hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. Watch these videos. Share them on your social media. Get the word out that way. That helps out big time. And leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about all of this. So a couple other ways you can help out the channel. First of all, if you're going to be in Miami and you're going to be wanting to hang out with some great patriots who want to basically get together and have a great conversation about how we can put our priorities straight for America and heading into the future, then come check out the American Priority Conference. I'm going to leave a link down in the description. Basically, we're all getting together. It's going to be a bunch of Patriots. We got Charlie Kirk already on board. We got Dinesh D'Souza. We got Robert Davi and a bunch of others, including a lot of people you'll know from social media that are basically independent journalists. So it's a great opportunity to get in front of people and have a conversation. It's going to be at Trump National at Doral in Miami. What more could you ask for? Go ahead and use the link down in the description to go get a ticket. If you're going to be in Miami October 10th through 12th, 2019, this year in October, and you want to get together with us, there's going to be a golf tournament. And it's all for charity. I'm going to be pretty involved in the golf tournament. It's a charity golf tournament. We're going to have a poker tournament. There's going to be hopefully some other guests that we haven't, or that they haven't announced yet, but that's going to be awesome. So definitely go check that out. I would encourage you all to go down in the description and check that out. A few other ways you can check me out. Come find me at justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. Links to the Q stuff, different news websites, breaking news, and the videos from the channel here. Also, come find me at Just Informed Talk on Twitter, at JustInformYou. That's the Twitter handle, at JustInformYou on Twitter. And also, you can go check out my new channel, Just Informed Podcast. That's a cool way to help out. Links to all this will be in the description. And if you want to make a contribution financially, there's a couple ways you can do it. First, we have Patreon's crowdfunding website. You come here, you click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it, and know you're helping create content on this channel. Without you guys, this channel would never have made it this long. So thank you for your support here. It's patreon.com/justinformedtalk. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you will make a one-time or anonymous donation. So thank you so much for your support. You guys are what keep this channel alive. So before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today's episode, I want to share this verse with you. It's out of Psalm 37. It's verse 39 and 40. It says, "The salvation of the righteous is from the Lord, their refuge in a time of distress. The Lord helps and delivers them. He will deliver them from the wicked and will save them because they take refuge in him." Simple, right? It's a simple idea, but that's what it is. God will save you no matter what, as long as we take refuge in him and understand that our salvation is from the Lord. So as we live our lives, remember, what's most important is to put God first, to remember the sacrifice Jesus made on the cross, and to hold in our hearts the power of the Holy Spirit which is within us. And from the moment that we learn of our true salvation and how we're saved and how God has given us this great gift of eternal life, that's the moment that's the most freeing, I think. That's when we're called to spread that gift to others and to share it with them, because the gift is not just meant for us to hold on to ourselves. It's to give to our fathers and our mothers and our brothers and our sisters and our wives and our husbands and those who we love, our friends and coworkers and those who we don't know, and even our enemies. We are supposed to share this message with them, to let them know that through God's grace we are forgiven and we have salvation, and we're called to repentance and we're called to righteousness, and that's how we live a life that is by God and for God. And that's what we should call each other to do every single day. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. First of all, before we go, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit it, punch it, smash it, bop it, like it, twist it, turn it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. Again, thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.